Hey, what's up, HVAC Control Pro? It's Eric Stromquist with Stromquist Company and ControlTrends.com. Hey, I wanted to talk to you today about open systems. I mean, have you ever bought a building automation control system, thought you were going to have complete control, and found out that you didn't? You were just kind of locked in to being a bit of a prisoner. Well, there's a good explanation for that. And by the end of this video, you are going to understand how to make sure you avoid getting locked in to a proprietary system. There are three basic steps, which we're going to get to. But before we do that, I need to give you a little history lesson. So before DDC controls, back in the 70s, there was a thing called pneumatic controls, and that was pretty much the system that most people used. And in the 70s, something very interesting happened. Jimmy Carter was president, and we had an oil embargo. And when we had that oil embargo, the price of energy went way, way up, like nothing we'd ever seen before. And keep in mind, this is the age of bell bottoms and disco, so we didn't have very good taste back then either. But when this happened, they were looking for ways to save energy. So if you were around in the 70s, you know Carter had a deal where you could only drive 55 miles per hour. That was the maximum speed limit to save fuel. We had stuff at the home where you had to set your thermostats back at night. So night setback thermostats were huge. But when it was all said and done, they had to figure out how to save money in buildings. So back in that time, the computers were just sort of getting launched. Not a lot of people understood that. Nobody really understood distributive control. So the big manufacturers, the Honeywells, the Tranes, the Johnson Controls, the Siemens, they sort of had the horsepower and the know-how to be able to develop these systems, and that's what they did. So each system had its own protocol. They talked a different language, and the branches were the ones that installed them because, again, computers were so new and computer programming was so new, the independent contractors just sort of didn't have the capability to do that or the wherewithal to do it. So what happened was you had these systems that started getting specified and started getting installed, and they came through the branches. And the reason they did that was that the branches, again, had the people and the horsepower and the money, the monetary backup to be able to do these systems. So if you were a manufacturer back in the day, your strategy was to do whatever it takes to win on bid day. Why? Because once you got your system in, you were the only person that could work on it. Meaning that you can make it all up on service work, or if they needed to change set points or whatever, because nobody really knew how these systems work back in the day. And that's what happened for many, many years. Along about the 80s, some independent contractors started to get really, really savvy, and some companies like Andover, Robert Shaw at the time, Siemens, and people like that began to bring products through independent contractors. And again, these were proprietary based, meaning if you were a contractor in a particular state, you had a territory and you were the person that people had to go to get the system installed and serviced, okay? So you were getting locked in still, but it was maybe not quite as bad because you weren't spending quite as much money. As time went on, other companies such as Honeywell and Johnson started to come out with products they were bringing through distribution. Honeywell had the W7600, which is a product we sold for years, and Johnson had the Metasys. I remember when they came out with that through distribution as well, and we handled that product line as well. So distributors began to bring in service-type contractors and mechanical contractors that wanted to expand their business, but didn't quite have the horsepower as the factory direct people did, or the branches. So that went on for a while, and then as time went on in the 90s or thereabouts, you begin to have what they call open protocols, okay? So LAN was one, for example, Modbus was another, BACnet's one, and these are still around today. And so what happened is the contractors became more and more savvy, and the owners began to have a lot more choice. So open became the big thing. Okay, so here's what I want you to take away from this, okay? There is open and there is truly open. Okay, so a lot of these manufacturers still have one step or going direct. They're still trying to get in on bid day and lock you in, but here's how you keep that from happening, okay? So they will say their system's open because their controllers communicate via BACnet or LAN or another open protocol. So open protocol is a part of it, and that is the first thing you want to make sure that your system has to make sure that it's truly open is that the system does speak an open protocol. protocol of your choice. So that's one step. The second step is open sourcing, meaning you have a lot of people that go, yeah, our system is open because it talks those languages, but you still have to go back to one person or one company to get service done on your system. And you can't buy the parts direct. You can't buy any of the training direct or anything like that. So effectively, you're still locked in, but your system does speak open protocol. So the second thing you want to make sure is this open sourcing. How many people can work on your system in your territory? Can you buy parts like everybody else? Can you have a contractor that gets trained on that particular product line and still be able to work on your system? Most importantly, can you get trained on it, which is number 3? Because a lot of people say, yeah, we'll train you on the system, but it's not the same training as the one that the contractor or the manufacturer has, okay? Also, there's a thing called a programming tool. So you want to make sure that you have access to the programming tool as well, because some companies will say, our system's open, we'll give you the same training, but we're not going to give you the programming tool, which basically means you can't program the controller, so you're still locked into calling that one source. So if you really want to protect yourself, 3 things, okay? First, make sure it talks an open protocol. Also, make sure it's reputable. Second, make sure it's open sourcing. One great way to do this, and this is a little bit self-serving since I'm a distributor of smart building controls, is make sure you're going through a distributor. You can reach out to your local distributor and find out how many qualified factory-trained integrators they have that can come in and work on your system or install your system. So that's number 2, open sourcing. Can you buy the parts, or do you have multiple people that you can go back to that can actually service your equipment? Third, let's make sure the training, that you can have access to the training yourself and that you get the same training tools. If you do those 3 things, you're going to be protected. Again, if you like this, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any comments, be interested in that too. I'm Eric Stromquist, again with Stromquist Company out of Atlanta and ControlTrends.com. Hey, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we will see you on the next video. Peace out.